think of the social ramifications? How concerned are you about people that are unemployed? Things like unrest, suicide, things like that.
I mean, it's going to be horrible. It will be horrible in the near term. I don't know if we're going to have a depression, how you want to define that. I hope we don't. I hope it's a V-shaped economic turnaround. I hope we know enough from the depression as well as our, public health. We can just rationally make the better decisions based on, what we know rather than what history has taught us of how we've reacted. I do think the 20th century is over in the year 2020. I feel like a lot of 20th century stuff is going around in our culture that dates back to a different time and a different era. And I think that's
super interesting. What do you mean? That's a fascinating concept.
Well, I mean, if you're conservative, taxes, regulation, the Reagan era, there's still kind of a halo of the Cold War and how we won that. If you're liberal, it's the civil rights of the 1960s, the 1970s, the achievements that have been made of giving marginalized groups, rights and liberty and dignity and all this stuff. But I think people just have been doing the same thing for decades because that's all they know. For Republicans, it's cut taxes. For Democrats, it's give rights to, ever more marginalized, smaller groups, frankly, But, we have a world where we're not going to be the number one economy in 10 years, probably. A world where
Whoa, you are the only dude that's ever said that to me.
Yeah, I mean, if you look at the nominal GDP, just aggregate, not per capita, you know when the last time the U.S. wasn't number one? 1880.
Wow.
And you know what was number one then? China.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. History's a circle, bro. Anyway, so it's weird. But so I think probably unless we have some major innovation, if we have some major innovation and productivity gains, that can change, obviously. But we haven't. I feel like, and I love IT, I love the internet, but we need stuff. We need stuff. We need material innovation, not just information innovation, right? To really have our economy grow that fast. So I think in the next 10 years, we will probably be number two just because of population. We're going to have 350 million people. China will have 1.35 billion, and so they'll eventually probably surpass us. We need to deal with the psychology of that. I thought that was going to be our big psychological shock, but I think our big psychological shock is our state capacity response issues with this, because everyone, I think, will know people that are gone at the end of this year because of COVID-19.
Wow.
I think everyone will. I mean, not not your parents necessarily, but, maybe an aunt, maybe a second cousin, maybe your best friend's brother. That's, if you're talking fatalities of hundreds of thousands, that's going to touch everyone.
I mean, the reason I started doing this special Corona series was because I think the Overton window is kicked wide open right now, and things that would have been unthinkable or radical just a few days ago are now on the table. And it's amazing to me even that we started this conversation, and I really thought I was going to push back a lot harder on your interstate idea. But frankly, I'd rather have some zones that are red zones and green zones than I would the entire nation being shut down. So I can see the logic there. And it's I think that's each man and woman are going to have to go through their own psychological journey here, because I was living in the 20th century just like you're describing. And while I thought of myself as a modern person, I think you're absolutely right. There is going to be a huge push to get kids into physical jobs, into jobs where they would be essential right now. I think there are a lot of parents probably sitting at home saying, what can my kid do so that they're never in this position like I am right now? And I think that's going to change the nature, hopefully it will change the nature of colleges and universities and what they're focused on.
This is the shock that academia was always assuming would happen. And this is the exogenous shock, right? So now the equilibrium is going to change. So if you think about it, it's I think a lot of equilibriums in a lot of just economic and cultural activities are going to change.
What do you think is there a curveball coming with the next stimulus package after this $2 trillion? You think it's something big like they're going to absolve student loans of all the debt? Are they going to do big things like that?
I doubt it's going to be student loans. It's not enough people. Not enough people have huge student loans. That's too small ball. I don't have any idea what's going to happen. I mean, at some point we are going to like run out of the capacity to print money though, right? So
yeah, but that's the thing that I think is so interesting about this is they're not printing a single dollar. They're not printing. They're just adding numbers into spreadsheets. And it's why I think, like, paradoxically, while they're putting all this money out there, hard cash, actual dollar bills are worth more because they aren't printing more of them. But you have to keep the liquidity of the credit system, because if credit cards suddenly freeze, Amazon comes to a halt suddenly. Instacart suddenly stops. And so I think that right now the system is, while you have to have delivery services, no matter what, credit cards stay running.
Yeah. I mean, so I think that that's true. I think one of the problems with the economy is no one person obviously has it all in their mind. So there's parts that everyone doesn't see, and we're just kind of hoping, and it's worked so far, and that's the beauty and genius of the free market. But one of the issues that I do want to emphasize is, our culture. We've had these culture wars, and people are arguing with other people, and they're doing social status games. A virus doesn't care about the culture war. A virus doesn't care about our society. A virus doesn't care about economic efficiencies. A virus is a natural event. It's an act of God, and this happened to our Paleolithic ancestors. There's no difference, and I think that is what is blowing people's mind, because all of these social status games that we got good at and we thought were the big deal, virus doesn't care.